Hello, Frank? I can't seem to hear. I think, Frank, you might be muted. Hey, Frank.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Oh, okay, great. Sorry, I have no idea what's going on. Just trying to get to a location that's a bit more quiet.
Sure. Yeah, I think we can hear you fine right now. It's okay. So yeah, I was just I was just getting you to introduce yourself, basically. Hello, Frank. Apologize, guys, for the technical difficulties. We actually spent the last 15 minutes trying to get his headphone to work. So, yeah, just a bit of patience here.
Hello?
Hey, Frank.
Hi, am I working?
Yeah, it's working now. It's working now. Yeah.
I'm so sorry about this.
It's
Usually I'm doing this inside my office or at my home, but today it's just little things I need to take care of. But anyway, if you can hear me, I'll just continue, okay?
yeah, we can hear you fine. Go ahead.
All right. Okay, so back again, Frank here, goalkeeper and co-founder of Promisphere, EVE Entertainment, and Apeiron. I've been working on this project for over 6 years now. Before that, I was a management consultant and a private equity investor for over 10 years. And 6 years ago, I decided to, pursue my own dream to create my own game because I've been a very, very avid and competitive gamer all my life. And I want to create a really, truly unique experience, gaming experience for everyone to try. And I've searched around Asia to find a core team of 30, which have grown to a size of 120 now to deliver our game, Apeiron, to all. And yeah, well, just a side information is that of all the people in the entire core team, I'm the only one without game development experience. So yeah, I'm more responsible for the outreach, the business, and the financing, and the higher concepts of creation, such as spitballing ideas. But the actual development is in much more capable hands. That's my co-founders and my core team members who've been in the game industry for over 16 and up to 40 years. Oh, anyway, yeah, that's a simple background for you.
Wow, that's amazing. So your background is actually a bit more in investing and finance, so to speak.
For technical, yeah, but I'm a serious gamer. I've played games very competitively all my life.
So what kind of games did you play before this?
Well, before I started working every day, pretty much every single game on Super Nintendo and PlayStation 1 and 2. But for competitive gameplay, I was a top 50 player in StarCraft 1, Red Alert 1. I was a MSF tournament player in Street Fighter, Third Strike. I was a KLM player in Counter-Strike Source. And then I was a freaking gladiator and a warlord, being a pharaoh druid in World of Warcraft. That is one of the toughest class to get those ratings. And so yeah, I played a lot of other games as well. But after I started working, I mostly brought back to single-player games where I can actually finish them. And didn't play too much online games after I started working. But when the mobile markets boomed, I played a lot of mobile games because I don't spend too much time, but I ended up spending a whole ton of money on those. And Although to this day, I don't actually get to play much games, but I continue to buy games and gaming PCs for no reason than just to use them to use Google Docs or emailing. But I just love games.
That's amazing. Wow, that's a lot of different game genres. Everything from RTS to first person shooters to World of Warcraft, MMORPGs. That's crazy. Wow, so a proper avid gamer and competitive gamer as well. Even fighting games. Well, fighting games is one of the hardest kind of genres to get into. So big respect for that, actually. Okay. Amazing. Okay. So you've introduced a little bit about the team behind Apeiron. Veterans of up to 40 years, I think you said, in the gaming industry. So that's definitely a very capable team over there. So let's go ahead and introduce the gameplay of Apeiron, the game here, to our community. How does it play?
Well, Apeiron is a really giant project with multiple gameplay styles and genres. I'll put it as simply as I can. To put it simply, Apeiron lets you play God. You will be playing on your own planets. You will use rainstorms, fireballs, tornadoes, earthquakes, and graviton balls, so to speak. Fire, air, earth, and water to shape your planet as you please. Controlling followers, having them build buildings for you. Well, you can have them build, but you provide the resources and they'll build it. And how you manage your civilizations, your worlds, will be translated into battle statistics, skills that you can use to battle against other players in single-player or team-based environments across literally galaxies, because the game map is a universe. And you'll be in both single-player and team-based alliance gameplay, or even in esports arenas to compete against other players. And it's quite a giant game with many different aspects to it. And how it all works together, well, we put in 4 NFTs and 3 tokens into it, but I'm not sure if we could go into these details so far. So I'll just give you the overview of God games. You play God in Apeiron, and you'll be fighting on a galactic level across the stars and galaxies.
Yep, sounds good. For those of you that haven't had the chance to go and look at some of the gameplay trailers, I think they had a trailer that we'll link after this session, and safe to say that the graphics look really amazing. What actually is the inspiration behind this sort of like art style? Because it's not something you see quite often.
Yeah, it's a unique art style that we went after because of our geographic location. Most of our core team is in Hong Kong. And Hong Kong artists grew up watching a mix of Japanese anime and local comics, and also Western cinema and game influences. So it's a merger, really, between Japanese anime style and the Western cinematic style. So, and of course, a lot of the games you can see from other references, from the Super Robot Wars to Smash Brothers, Pokemons, Digimons. And then there's the base core of Poplar's God games and RTS here and there. So that's pretty much a small reflection of what Hong Kong is. And that's where most of the inspiration comes from. And the final note on the trailers, they are not actually cinematic trailers. Those are actual in-game trailers of what the gameplay looks like. And so it's quite remarkable what we've been trying to accomplish over for 6 years now. But hope you guys will enjoy. And the game demo is coming up very soon, so you guys will actually get to play it if you own the Premiere for Planets. Anyway, back to you first.
Yep, awesome. So the game. So you mentioned it's kind of releasing soon. Or is it a demo, the beta version?
I'd say it's a bit of a mix of both. The game demo is a PvE experience in the beginning, where you fight in a dungeon. You won't be using your planets in the beginning. It's just really a demo of one of our pure planets, and you'll be controlling it to fight in a 7-layer dungeon, where you can fight against different enemies and ultimately fight a big boss at the end to experience what the battle part of Apeiron is like. Apeiron is consisted of 2 main gameplay mechanics. One is the God game simulation, which will only be released upon game launch in Q4, but the other part is the battle. The battle part will have this beta that we will do in this game demo and also in a subsequent update of the game demo, which includes PvP elements and the use of your own planets to fight against others, so we can test the balances of the gameplay and the battle mechanics. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
I see. Okay, so that's definitely something to look forward to quite soon. But of course, you need some of the NFTs first. What about tokenomics? Like what you mentioned, I think it was 4 tokens. Did I hear right? Or three tokens. Sorry.
The tokenomics side. Well, we actually studied the 1 and 2 token model for a long time, but we find it very, very hard to balance or sustain it in the end, especially when there's a massive wave of influx of users, or when the economy really becomes volatile, much like these days.
Yep.
And I think that's true, because you see many game economies collapse. Even when the ETH and the Bitcoin economy recovers, their economies seem to not be able to recover as much as the markets. So we think there's a flaw in the single and dual token system. And I think this flaw comes from, well, a lot of games trying to put everyone in the same basket. You see, when you create a game economy and mix it with a real-world trading currency, especially with crypto, what you get is everyone is pretty much a speculator, an investor, a grinder, a scholar, a casual player or a pro player. It all comes in. They don't just come in individual sizes. They come in communities, investment launchpads, gaming guilds, and it's hard to just try to bunch everyone up in these 1 or 2 token currency. It's easy to understand, sure, but what it ends up into is just everyone trying to get in on the early round and dump it on the others. And for the GameFi industry, everyone is assuming, okay, we can all dump it on the gamers that's going to come in when the mass adoption begins. But that's not exactly very healthy in our minds. And we think in order to properly filter the different incentives and types of players or investors, we actually need more choices and filters for the economy in order for it to sustain. So in our 3 token system, we have the 2 basic ones that a lot of you may be familiar with since Axie. That's the governance tokens and the play-to-earn tokens, responsible for much of the core utility of the game and also the single-player incentive to build their games. But the 3rd token revolves around alliance gameplay in Apeiron, involves group and social dynamics. It's actually a lot more rarer and very hard to mint, and it takes the group effort in order to create this token. In the game, it would be translated into super hardcore world bosses, clan wars, and esports tournaments, and the utility of this 3rd token is revolved around creating a new cycle in the economy, creating a new breeding cycle, creating a new enhancement and relic creation cycle. These are the NFT create and enhancement cycles that utilizes the first 2 tokens. And for the earning aspect, well, you got the usual staking, liquidity pool, staking mechanisms, and also we have gambling. The 3rd token specifically is used for esports and gaming guild tournaments gambling, where players can bet on the teams that they think they can win and also, well, earn rewards. So these 3 tokens is worked in conjunction with 4 types of NFTs. We think both the NFTs, especially the core NFTs such as the planets, should accrue in value together with the main governance token and also other tokens in general. But in order to sustain these cycles, we actually, well, we try to limit a lot of the airdrops and the ability to give away game advantage utilities or mechanics in our planets. We think, well, many other projects, game projects or NFT projects, promote the passive earning and yields in the future promised economy. We think this is all just sacrificing the long-term sustainability for a short-term sell-off of NFTs and tokens. It's not exactly a very healthy model, and we try to do everything we can in order to promote the long-term economy. And of course, the basis of this economy forms from, well, we don't promote play-to-earn or free-to-play as much as other games. We think free-to-play can come from gaming guilds that invest on the player's behalf and educate them in different Web3 games. And they will form great free-to-play portals into, well, many Web3 or Web2 games. And while the play-to-earn element, yeah, we will have some bonuses for players to earn here and there and to create their own NFTs, provided that they spend enough time and dedication here. but it wouldn't be a lot. In order to earn a lot, the earning should always scale with risks. An economy cannot sustain if everyone is a winner. There needs to be winners and losers, and there needs to be different types of trade-offs in between. So we promote a heavy win-to-earn element. The players are promoted to engage each other in individual combat, or in esports combat, or in a giant alliance combat, where players must win in order to earn efficiently. If they do, they can pretty much like esports players, earn quite a living off of these. But earning an Apeiron requires not just individual skill, but a lot of teamwork, as individual players have to work together in order to earn different types of tokens, NFTs, and pool them together and use them together in order to, maximize the utility, maximize their staking and earning potentials, and, so to speak. It's quite complicated, but
yeah, I think a lot.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think you shared a lot there, but I think one of the interesting things that I caught on was how you kind of view gaming guilds fitting into this more sustainable model. I think we can all agree, players as well. I mean, scholars in attendance right now can also agree that what we have seen so far is quite unsustainable and quite unhealthy, as you said, Frank. And I think there needs to be some changes, a bit more sustainable, long-term kind of a model to come up. And one of the questions that we always ask ourselves here at Promisphere is how do gaming guilds fit into that? Because the way that the relationship between the gaming projects and gaming guilds right now is one such where the gaming guild is very incentivized financially. For that short-term kind of gain, and once that is dried up, so to speak, and then the gaming guild is incentivized to look for the next one and move on. And with that, they bring all their scholars and their players with them as well. So I think a sustainable, longer-term kind of model is definitely needed. And yes, as to touch on the gaming guild's kind of role in that model, I think you've brought a very interesting view where we are sort of kind of that portal to that free-to-play kind of element. We bring that free-to-play kind of element into that. So that's a very interesting view. Cool. And I think the next question I have then is in terms of roadmap. I understand the demo is coming out soon. When can we kind of expect launch, and what is kind of the next most important thing in terms of development?
Okay, so from the blockchain side of the equation, next week is actually where we will begin our Nebula expedition. It's the staking of your planets and apostles. You can actually purchase Apeiron planets and apostles in our websites. Please use the official links, and on OpenSea, and you can actually stake them for different types of rewards. The very first reward pool is out next Tuesday. You can stake Apeiron planets and apostles to get free emblems, tradable coins and tokens that can be collected to exchange for other Apeiron NFTs. These tokens, such as the ones we give out at the end of this AMA, are ones that, they're around $10 a piece, but fluctuating according to the prices. And collect enough of them, you can even exchange for a free planet, a free apostle, or even some plushy merchandise. And yeah, we'll be giving a whole ton of them in the first staking pool. After the first staking pool, we will be selling our mini black holes, the core items that is needed for planets to breed. And so this is a really great staking mechanism with which we're developing that allows us not just to stake our own assets, our NFTs and tokens, but it also allows us to stake other project tokens and NFTs together. That's why we're lining up a lot of different collabs with different projects and communities that have tokens or NFTs to give greater utility for them to stake their tokens together with ours to earn different types of rewards that don't just necessarily have to be Apeiron, but could be really anything. So this is what's happening next week. And then the marketplace upgrade where traders and our players can begin trading their planets in our own marketplace will come live towards the end of this month. A lot of the planets, traits, and statistics will also be shown, giving users a greater analysis or in-depth view of what the planets are like. And of course, finally, we have the game demo in this month, and next month's you'll be seeing a lot more of our gameplay assets and animations in our Twitter beginning on Thursday. And we'll be posting game assets and animations 2 times every week. It will lead up to the live show of our game demo. Shortly after the live viewing of our game demo, we will subsequently allow testing of our demo to our Promisphere asset holders and some of our core investment partners. And this will carry on with the PvE demo and the PvP demo all the way up to the TGE and the game launch. The TGE is currently postponed to late October. That's the plan. Hopefully the markets will bottom out in September after the FOMC reports and after so hopefully the ETH 2.0 merge. And we can expect the markets to recover. And then the game launch is scheduled to be shortly after the TGE, either in October or November, where everyone will be able to play the game as long as they own one planet. That's the short-term, the mid-term roadmap. Ultimately, in the next year, we're moving very early on into esports, where we will be hosting the first giant global esports tournaments regionally, and then it will end with a finals in probably in Korea, Hong Kong, for the finals stadium match. And that's the midterm roadmap, so to speak.
This sounds really exciting. You mentioned esports. Did you say stadium matches?
Oh yeah.
So you actually have plans to kind of like, the way that, these big esports titles do it, like a CSGO and all that, you actually have like a stadium ready to go?
We are going to, we're not going to build our own, but we'll be renting some of the stadiums and we'll be hosting giant tournaments. Our game style is more similar to Clash Royale. It's mostly one-on-ones in the beginning. The co-op modes will open up later. But we'll be having these in real-life stadium match where we fly over the champion teams that win from all the regions over to our main stage in either Hong Kong or Korea, and then we'll host one giant finals. And it will be coupled with merchandise and a lot of streaming partners that we have found along.
I think you accidentally muted yourself there, Frank.
Oh, sorry, am I back?
Yep, we hear you now.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we have quite a lot of partners ready to stream, from esports to casters to online streaming platforms such as Twitch and YouTube, so we can properly move actually from Web3 to esports, and from esports we will move to other casual and physical trading gaming cards, and ultimately animations and movies for the Apeiron to turn from a game to a franchise. But everything will be tied back to this original game, the planets and the governance tokens. This is the core of the franchise.
Wow. Okay, and that's a bit of alpha for you guys as well, because if you believe in this grand vision that Frank has just shared with us, then this is something you should be looking at, these tokens that are coming out and all that. Awesome. Sounds really exciting. A quick question here, and I know this probably is something that you've kind of planned from the start, but given that you're a very big, used to be a very a competitive player, but has esports always kind of been that goal, that esports, and how do you see esports as sort of in the development of game and moving on to things like further down the roadmap we talk about franchising and merchandise and all that stuff. How do you see esports kind of like playing into that?
Well, esports, I think, is one of the main goals that a lot of governments is trying to integrate into their societies. Esports is still young, and it lacks a lot of games and core industries for it to thrive. Esports alone actually is it has a great hype. It's like VR, AR. I mean, it's great for fundraising. It's great for everything. But in order for esports to sustain, you need to look into the vertical integration of different industries. Esports don't just bring along the game, the team, but it also brings along merchandise, hostings, marketers, casters, and eventually it should reach into other fields of the industry. And this is one of the ways with which games can get themselves more legitimized. And of course, with the mobile game boom, the gaming audience in this world is only growing, and the younger generations are all looking into these ways. And I think esports is one of the greatest venues with which Web3 can look at it, because Web3 actually offers, well, especially the NFT ownership and this concept of, well, I call it player passports, is will be a great achievement system and a great reach for Web3 games into Web2. And we already have found, well, quite a lot of esports teams. Actually, most of the AAA developers, publishers, and esports teams are highly interested in the Web3 gaming, because one of the biggest problems for esports teams right now is actually revenue sources. Because most of the revenue sources for a lot of Web3 or for a lot of esports teams only come from winning tournaments. And you can't have everyone winning all the tournaments. There are always ones that lag behind or can't sustain from the tournaments. There needs to be other merchandises or platforms, video production platforms or personalities that they need to develop in order to form a more stronger, sustainable economic model. And I think Web3 esports actually give them a greater Web3 revenue source and a platform to reach other audiences and build a different revenue stream. This will allow a lot of esports teams to sustain themselves. If we merge them together, it would be great. But of course, games alone are just, well, the different types of developments, the sustaining of balance and esports hype in stadiums is alone in itself one huge thing. But in order to further grow, in order to reach the Series A, the Series B, the game itself must evolve to become more than just a game. It has to reach into other methods to reach a bigger audience. That's where really traditional movies, animations, and toys come into play, so people can be aware of the brand both on and off the screen. Am I dragging it too far?
No, that's just, I think what you said is perfectly reasonable. It makes a lot of sense, and I think most of us here can agree to the dynamics between those different things that you talked about. So you mentioned staking earlier on, and being able to stake different game assets as well. What kind of assets are we talking about? I mean, which partners?
Okay, so which assets you stake are the planets and the apostles. For which partners will be collaborating with? Well, most of them will start from our investment partners. We have Zombie Club, one of the first ones. That's it's a Chinese think tank and an alpha group. They have their own Zombie Club tokens as a profile picture NFT to begin with, but they're expanding their utility, and those holders can stake their tokens together with our planets in a staking pool to earn a special apostle, a special pet in our game that is customized for their sake. And in the future, with many different gaming guilds that partner with us, will either have their own badges, which is NFTs, or their own tokens, and you can stake them together with our planets. We'll create special limited time staking pools where you have to stake both their assets and ours together in order to earn either a special collab NFT that's usable in the game, or it could be just for some rewards of other games, or we can stake together with other games to create the mutation model. Because right now, in order for different metaverse projects to partner up, the same asset cannot be in other forms art style, or in the other forms platform algorithms. So there always needs to be a new mutation model that pops up, and we can collaborate with projects by staking our NFTs, their NFTs, which will give birth to this new mutation model that's accessible in either or both our platforms. It's sort of like the ultimate early version of the passports. Of course, I think in 3 years' time, the technology for direct ports will be there. But before that, I think this is the way we can collaborate. And we're not just talking about NFTs. It could even be USDC rewards, where we stake the tokens and the NFTs alone, and people who hold them. It's sort of like a holder's reward that gives out different utilities at the end. And if you look at our gaming guild partners, our Web3 natives partners, it's great. But to be honest, I'm still trying to find a good gaming partner we can partner up with, because I'm still trying to reach out to a lot of these Web3 games that seem to have a lot of potential, but again, would really like to take more time to look into them and to find a good way to for everyone to collaborate together.
Yep, for sure. And I think especially in these times right now, these market conditions, like collaboration and partnerships are even more important as well. Very interesting. Okay. Yeah, I think we covered a lot so far. Let me just see if we've got anything else we'd like to cover. Is there anything else at this point you wanted to add?
Well, I have a lot because everyone is a huge game, but I think we should leave more time to the audience so they can ask their questions. I always love to answer more of the audience's questions. And at the end, I can just let everyone know a bit on further on the roadmap and our approach, and then we can sum it up.
Yeah, sure. Okay, let's just open the questions here. Sure. If you can navigate over to the AMA chat, if you spot any questions that are interesting, feel free to answer that. But I'm scanning through here as well. Let me see if there are any interesting ones. There are plenty of questions here. Cool. Let me just have a look.
How about you pick? How many questions are we answering today?
We're gonna do about 5 of them.
Okay. How about you pick 3 and I'll pick 2?
Sure. Did you want to go first?
Sure. Actually, can you go first because I need to take a good look at it and see. I think I promised one of my OGs that if they ask a question, I'll answer them this time, and I think that's Little Blue. Let me see if Little Blue asks any questions because he says he's never got picked, and so I owe it to him to pick him. And I can't seem to see Little Blue. The Little Blue not ask questions.
Yeah, there are quite a number of questions here. So in the meantime, yeah, while you continue to scan, I've got a question here from Hang Ha Noi. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name right now, but I believe you're Vietnamese and I'm not able to pronounce that properly. But here's the first question. He says, "Hi Frank, what strategy will you implement to bring non-crypto natives into your ecosystem? How do you keep a balance between developing technology and improving the value of your token?" So I guess there are kind of 2 parts here, but
okay, I'll try to answer.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I only got one part. How do I bring the non-crypto natives into the ecosystem?
Yeah, let's do that one first.
Okay. Well, there's 2 parts. In order to reach out towards them, there needs to be the marketing towards the Web2 part. How the marketing is done is, yes, we actually have been we have a digital marketing team that's been able to garner some of the Web2 users via traditional ads and social media platforms. But ultimately, what we do to attract Web2 users is always to focus on really great gameplay. And so on top of the God games, which is truly unique, it's the God game genre, and our gameplay cannot be found in Web3 or Web2. And we're going to go for the esports angle together with physical trading cards and merchandise. And this is how we are trying to get other types of gamers into the fold while advertising and promoting the core concept of Apeiron. And once we have these gamers, we're sort of having the esports professional players and the more OG card players, we will pincer on to the traditional gamers. Once we have a good gamer base going on, how we reach out is via the movies and animations. Because Apeiron has a lot of franchise elements. If you look at the dudes, the yellow chubby creatures you see everywhere in our Discord server and where we promote them all the time, these are actually the main, sort of our version of Chocobo mixed minions sort of thing. And you will see a lot of them and the stories recreating a lot of original creation myths around the world and our own, very duty humor versions of them, of course. And to reach out to different types of Web2 audiences. Once they are in, where does the education come from? Actually, I personally partnered, not personally, but we partnered with over 20 gaming guilds, and I source each and every gaming guild very carefully because each gaming guild that partner with us are great sort of mentor systems, universities that educate their users, actually not just in games or our games, but they are great communities that educate users in Web3, in gaming, in metaverses, and to avoid all the scams and traps,
They are very fun gaming communities that I find across the web, and they form this community that you can play together with, get comfortable with, and are fun to be in. These are not just gaming communities talking about what to flip next, which game resources to extract from, what's the current pricing, what's the future pricing. These are gaming guilds I partner with that actually are interested in the games and believe in the Web3 system. So these gaming guilds will offer a lot of the education for the new users. And of course, the other side is Apeiron's own community. Apeiron has one of the most bustling and organic communities in the entire Web3 space. We do a lot than just using our Discord as a game announcement channel. We host a lot of engaging and fun activities, giving a lot of great rewards in Apeiron's community, and together with these, well, if you can see in your AMA chat, a lot of these are our community contributors. They are actually not shillers of it. They are actually organic users that are here trying to just have fun and be duty about it. And I'm very proud of this community we have grown. And together with the gaming guilds and these communities, we will be able to educate a lot of users, not just educate them, but really to convert them into Web3 users themselves, and even, well, very loyal fans of the franchise. Well, that's that.
Awesome. And I guess the second part of his question here is, how do you keep a balance between developing the technology and improving the value of your token?
That's because we don't develop the technology. I think being a game developer, we should focus on what makes the games fun, the game cycle, the balance of the game. The tokenomics has to be balanced has to be extremely versatile. We don't claim to have found the ultimate tri-token system, but we have built a very flexible token and NFT system that allows us to weather different types of economies. We can adjust them very flexibly, and the game balance will not be affected by these changes. And I think this is very important for us to balance the economy, so to speak. But ultimately, well, where am I heading with this? Sorry, can you repeat the question? I suddenly got a mind block.
No worries. No worries. Basically, how do you keep a balance between developing the technology and improving the value of your token?
Technology, as for the onboarding process, we don't study that actually. We will work on the stories, we'll work on the game balance, we'll work on the economy, but the technology to onboard users, for the scholars and everything, we will only do what's the best practice out there. We'll work with third-party platforms. There are enough scholarship tools, enough cross-chained projects, and enough game node functions and game communities out there that are working on this technology to break through. We're not trying to break through in that sense, but we have developers. We have one of the most front-end and back-end developers ratio, I think, out there compared to other Web3 games. And but we are all just going to focus on game development, improving our marketplace and our tokenomics, and on our own marketplace, on the trading systems, on the UI and UX of Apeiron. While the technology will be readily waiting for the new one to adopt over there. I do believe we are in touch already with one of the best Web3 platforms and tools out there, and so if there's any updates on that, we'll always be ready to make sure we can utilize these new technologies developed by others.
Yep, for sure. I mean, the space moves really fast, so we always got to stay, ahead of it. I guess my second question here from Links is, will there be a scholarship available? And if this was the case, could you please share what would the player benefits be in the game, and how are we going to take part in it? So I suppose the main question is whether there or not there will be a scholarship model and what that looks like.
Okay, so there are two layers of the scholarship model. One is for the planets, the basic gameplay units. The planets can be rented, much like Axis, for other players to play. You can rent it to another player. The player can play for free, while the in-game tokens or the tokens that you earned will be split between the two. We'll be working with a third-party platform in order to publish the system out early. And the other core function is the guild and alliance management, which is actually your star rental. Because in order for you to join an alliance, in order for you to start and create an alliance, you need to own a star. And to join one, you need to orbit your planets, and you need to orbit your account actually around those stars. So, but these stars themselves is also where the next layer of scholarship and campaigns are. Once you associate yourself or if you orbit around a star, joining that star system and joining the guild and alliance, all guild gameplay, which is actually a lot of the alliance and guild gameplay in Apeiron, is the mid to late gameplay in Apeiron. All of these are very hardcore and very competitive, but they generate our third token. Every time a team successfully completes a challenge, they will mint this third token. But a portion of this third token always go to the star owner, the land owner in Apeiron. And so, well, we have going to have a scholarship and a rental system where the star owners or the alliance owners can effectively rent out the spacing, the orbital tracks, and membership spaces to different users, accounts, or planets. And this will be merged together with the planet management system. So for those giant whales or investors who invested heavily in Apeiron, where they have a lot of stars, a lot of planets, they can efficiently rent out the tracks to find different players and to rent out these planets together, so players can pretty much play the entire game for free. And but then, of course, in order to win, in order to earn resources, it's up to the alliance finders or the person who managed the stars to find decent players to manage it as a guild, and that's where a lot of the fun actually comes from. And we have these systems all going to be implemented. The first layer of the system will be out together with game launch. So upon game launch, you'll be ready. You'll be available to you'll have the tools ready for you to rent out your planets to other players. A lot of our holders right now actually hold up to 3 planets in the beginning in order to create an infinite breed cycle so they can keep creating planets. Of course, it's the cooldown and the control is very tough from our end. We don't just let players breed absolutely freely. We control the supply of the items that give these breeds in order to hold control over the supply and demand. But the players will be able to rent their planets effectively upon game launch. And then when in Q1 next year, after the giant esports events, our alliance activities will begin, and the alliance rental system will be out next year early. So that's that.
Awesome, cool. Did you have questions you wanted to pick already, Frank? If not, I've got my third one ready to go.
I'm trying to find Little Blue's question, but I just can't find it. I just have to reward Little Blue. No, I have to find Little Blue on this one. He's usually around, but I'll pick another one right now. I'll just go through it. And I'll find one of my community's contributors that may have rarely asked questions, or I rarely pick them. There's a lot here. Let's take a look. Wow. Oh, some of them are actually not from Apeiron. I'm scrolling way beyond. Let me go back to the beginning. Someone tagged Little Blue for me. Thank you. Thank you. So, Little Blue, he says, good evening, sir. I'm still having dinner. Oh, well, enjoy your dinner, Little Blue. I hope this answer brings a smile to your face upon dinner. About staking, with a defined core planet, what reward can we expect to get? When you stake a defined core planet, pretty much guarantees you can get what you can obtain from the staking pools, because the staking pools is on a scale that rates the amount of planets that are being staked. Defined cores will have a great significant advantage because of their basic mint price. So because of that, almost all defined core holders, once they stake their planets together with the other planets and apostles, they are guaranteed to get at least one reward. Every reward pool have different types of rewards. In the beginning, there's a 500 fully emblems. I think in the second batch, there'll be around 1,000 mini black holes. And in the star batch, there's only 200 star batch. So when the reward pool is very limited, it's up to those who have the better planets, especially the better exordiums. Defined core is one of the highest category staking planets that we will be able to guarantee ourselves some pretty decent rewards in there. And those on just normal planets and maybe the elemental exoniums may not be able to get their hands on the reward pools that are, or they'll have lower rewards. And yes, what's the difference between origin apostles and apostles which can be obtained from the dungeons? Well, the origins apostles will have a higher combat power. Much like Pokemons, every apostle, when you obtain them, has a core combat power that determines how strong they are. And the lower into the dungeons, the higher you'll run into higher combat power apostles. And the origin apostles are of pretty high, but way above average combat power, so they will give you a huge head start in the game. And of course, ultimately, it's always the collection value of these apostles. Collecting these apostles lets you different types of rewards and advantages and whitelists, airdrops, staking in the future, and also if you collect all 12, there's merchandises you can get, special collector's edition NFT, which gives you greater stake access. And I'm actually negotiating with one of our co-founders to grant an even powerful mysterious version of one of the 12 battle classes of apostles, so players can have an even more greater advantage if they manage to get their hands on all 12 apostles. And so yeah, that's that, Little Blue.
Awesome. Did you have the second question ready to go, Frank? Otherwise, I'll go ahead and ask the third one.
Oh, well, actually, I'll answer the one that's immediately following. It's from a Chinese user called Xiao Xianlu. I've rarely seen her in our AMAs, and that should change her name. And I don't recognize it. But yeah, we'd love to answer that because I saw her perform extremely well in our PUBG tournament on Sunday. Yeah, he actually killed one of my highly anticipated winners from behind. Anyway, so Xianyu, it's in Chinese little fairy goddess. It's called Hi Frank. I would like to ask if the zombie apostle can only participate in the lottery for zombie holders. Is there any other way to obtain it? No, in the beginning, only zombie club token holders are entitled to obtaining these. Of course, once they obtain this, if they sell it on OpenSeas, yes, then you can buy them from OpenSeas. But yeah, there'll be a lot of other different collab NFTs in the future. They'll all be limited, and they can only be obtained by in these special events that require either the staking mechanisms or require a special holder advantage for those to obtain. I think this is only fair for most of the other projects we collaborate with. But of course, they are NFTs, so once they obtain it and they want to sell it, you can obtain it there. And then is there a difference in strength between the zombie apostle and the other 12? No, it's they have the same power for these collabs. They won't be even more powerful. We try very hard to maintain the balance. They will have a pretty unique skill skin, and they will summon zombies. Well, there's the summoner version of the zombie club is they'll summon the normal summoner summons spirits, while the zombie club summons zombies, and it has a zombie lock to it. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
I see. Very interesting. Cool. And for the fifth question and last one for tonight, I've picked this one from Revenant, which is actually one of our esports kind of players. So his question is here, and I think you've kind of answered this already actually during the AMA itself, but I think it warrants another go through because I think this is what sets everyone apart. But so here's a question: in terms of longevity, many GameFi games only have 1 to 6 months of survival or sustainability, and then dies off, or the token prices crash. So does the team have a thesis-driven or data-driven approach to ensure that it can run for years?
Well,
Frank, we lost you there for a second.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yep, can hear you now.
Okay, so in order to sustain longevity for a game's economy, well, for one, don't give out your game's economy's tokens like it's a free bread, and it's important that we keep on creating different types of 1 second here, I'm walking into a corridor. I hope you can hear me. To keep creating content much like many other games, in order to keep the content fresh, there needs to be an update every few months. In Apeiron, we will run updates every 2 to 3 months, a big one, and to keep the content fresh, we have 12 mythology galaxies. All 12 of them are extremely giant expansion packs that feature different types of alliance contents and game items for players to play the game anew. And of course, to couple with these, we have the we have to couple it with merchandising, communities, and tournament hostings. And much like physical game cards, you need to have periodic and cyclical tournaments of different types to the community around these events to bring momentum for the community to thrive and to reach out to others. Ultimately, for the first 3 to 5 years, we aim to expand the content from our perspective, from the developer perspective, completing the game. But beyond the 5th year, the Apeiron God Game Simulation is actually extremely user content generated focused. So players will be able to create their own worlds all this time, and with the full on-chain functionalities hopefully available in that time, players will create their own dungeons, their own worlds for other players to explore. Oh, are you still there?
Yep, we can hear you fine.
Okay, that's all pretty much it.
Yep. So I think that kind of wraps everything up. I think thank you for these questions, guys. They were really good questions, and thank you, Frank, again for answering these things. And especially the last one, to me personally, I think is an important question. Sorry.
Okay, sorry.
No, yeah.
There's a lot going on. Yep.
Sure, no worries. Yeah. So I was just saying, especially the last question for me personally, and I think to most serious kind of Web3 gamers or investors, I think that's a very important topic for a lot of us, as you know, from what we've seen so far in the space. 6 months is about where things kind of fall off, and they fall off fast, and it's quite sad to see. So I think understanding Apeiron's vision for the long term is very important, and is what sets Apeiron apart from all the other competitors. So that's an important one. Frank, before we end off, do you have anything extra you wanted to add?
Oh, yeah, well, actually, to top it off from what you said, I think the economies and the turbulences is of course something that's very concerning regarding the recent events. But in order for a true economy and a digital economy such as Web 3 to 5, I think long term, and what Apeiron offers is only half of the equation. So you have long term games and you have short term games. So if there's too many games to work on reskins, to develop a fresh vibe. So this is what mobile games have been thriving for quite some time. They create a model. Some companies create games, reskin them, and publish again with a new theme, new title. I think it works in short-term economic models. And you need both these models and the long-term ones in order to right. But ultimately, for Web3 to truly begin, what everyone is talking about, the mass adoption, and we don't just have speculators anymore, and that we have actually users coming into the space that's passionate about what's going to happen on the technology. I think this is actually happening, especially in these bear markets, that we find to avoid more speculators and attract more of the people and identify more of these core contributors of what's free to work together and to bottom we can all make it together, what sort of mentality. But that's pretty much it. Other than that, really, thank you all for having me. Really like to learn more about the Promisphere. Actually, only the first time that you guys been love to see the Promisphere, the type of gaming guild the Promisphere is. Would definitely love to invite you over to the board to meet about Promisphere. And I'm always meeting and willing to work with different games, especially the fun ones, Apeiron. And just finally,
feel free to take a look at our links and trailers and meet us on our community Discord. There will be a lot of activities and a lot of earning opportunities, and hope to see you soon.
Yep. So I think we, from Promisphere's point of view, we definitely like what we hear, and we're definitely very interested to learn more about the game and to meet your community. So guys, be sure to click on the link that we'll provide after this, where you can actually go into Apeiron's lovely Discord community channel, and you can learn about the game and take part in the various fun activities that they have over there as well. And I think with that, that's a wrap for us, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. To those that ask questions and the questions were picked, we will contact you guys with regards to the rewards. So thank you guys once again for tuning in. Thank you, Frank, for your time as well.